You know, a romantic proposal, a surprise for someone you love, these are things we always associate with happiness, right? But in the story out of Bengaluru, those very ideas were allegedly twisted into the tools for a truly horrifying and meticulously planned murder. So let's get into what happened here.
This one line from the police report just captures the chilling deception at the heart of this entire thing. It says she lured her boyfriend with the promise of a Western-style proposal. I mean, think about that. A phrase that should mean romance and a future together was instead, allegedly, the bait for a deadly trap.
So, to really understand this unbelievable betrayal, we've got to start with the core of the crime itself, the single act that has left an entire city just stunned.
Okay, so here's the allegation, and it's as stark as it is brutal. A 27-year-old woman is accused of tying up her boyfriend in her own home, dousing him in flammable liquid, and then setting him on fire. It's a horrific act that investigators believe wasn't some sudden crime of passion, but something that was actually planned out, cold and meticulous.
But how does a relationship even get to a breaking point like this? I mean, to even begin to understand it, we have to look a little closer at the two people at the center of this story.
The accused is Prema, a 27-year-old who lived in Bengaluru, and the victim was Kiran, who was from the nearby Tumakuru district. Now, they weren't strangers at all. In fact, they were co-workers. They saw each other pretty much every day at a local mobile store.
And their connection, it went way beyond just the workplace. For 2 years, they were in a romantic relationship. So you see, this wasn't just some brief affair. This was a long-term thing, a partnership that everyone around them would have seen as pretty established and serious.
So what on earth could shatter a 2-year relationship so completely? Well, according to investigators, it all came down to a single moment. Kiran apparently turned down Prema's marriage proposal, and police suspect that this one act of rejection was the trigger for everything that happened next.
All right, let's turn to the day of the incident itself. The police have managed to piece together a timeline that reveals just how this fatal, so-called surprise was allegedly orchestrated.
And this timeline, it just shows the chilling level of premeditation here. It all starts with an invitation. Prema allegedly calls Kiran over to her place, making sure her family wasn't home. Then comes the pretext. She promises him a surprise, a good time. Under that guise, she allegedly blindfolds him and ties him to a chair. The police report even says he questioned being tied up, but she just reassured him, saying it was all part of the surprise. And then, with him totally helpless, came the final horrific step, the attack.
And tragically, Kiran just couldn't get free. He died right there, at the scene. It was his screams and the smoke that started pouring from the window that finally alerted the neighbors, who then called for help.
But the story that Prema initially told the police? It was completely different. She didn't say it was a murder. She claimed it was a suicide. So let's look at how investigators started to unravel that lie.
So at first, Prema claimed it was a suicide, that she was just in the bathroom when the whole thing happened. But her story kept changing, again and again, which raised some major red flags for the investigators. Then they found physical evidence. They discovered that the flammable liquid had actually been bought beforehand, a clear sign of planning. Once she was confronted with all of this, her story just fell apart and she reportedly confessed. So let's just recap the key pieces of evidence that really blew this case wide open. First, all the inconsistencies in her story. Second, the fuel being bought in advance. But the last piece of evidence, and the most damning, was found on her phone, an alleged recording that she herself made of Kiran's final, horrific moments. A senior police officer basically summed it all up for reporters. He said, prima facie, it appears the accused, under the guise of a romantic interlude, restrained the victim and set him on fire. Just a chillingly direct summary of a truly brutal crime. So, with a confession reportedly on the books and that absolutely chilling recording in hand, the investigation moved into its final phase, the arrest and dealing with the aftermath. So as it stands right now, Prema has been arrested and charged with the murder of Kiran. And while a confession has been reported in the media, the official police investigation is, of course, still ongoing to finalize all the details of the case.
The facts of this case are just, well, they're shocking. It's a story of a 2-year relationship that ended not with a quiet breakup, but with a horrifying act of violence that was allegedly disguised as a gesture of love. And it really leaves all of us with a deeply unsettling question. What pushes a person past the point of heartbreak and into the realm of such cold, calculated cruelty?